Hey guys, how you doing? Luna here with a new video for the channel. I hope you're doing well and welcome back to yet another review. This time it's a turn for American singer-songwriter SZA with her new album, SOS. First of all, sorry if I look like shit today, bro, but I just woke up and I had to do the review. This is a really important album because, as you may or may not know, in 2017, this really talented lady released Control, one of my favorite albums from that year. I think that the way she used trap music and blended with soul music was beautiful. I liked it a lot. So my expectations were high with this record. I was really excited to see what she was going to do. Was she going to, change her sound, or was she going to stick to the same formula? Now, the first thing that caught my attention about this album was the length. We're talking about 23 tracks and an hour plus long album. And that already kind of made me believe that she was going to change things up a little bit, because if you want to keep the listener entertained for an hour plus, you need something else than just a bunch of R&B tunes. I'm gonna make it clear from the very beginning, I'm talking about Control a lot because it's the only other musical reference we have from SZA. So we have to reference that album a lot in order for you to get my point. And the fact is that most of the instrumentals in this album, most of her performances in this record don't feel as sexy, as playful, and as vulnerable as the ones from Control. Actually, she sounds most of the time like she's not really buying into her own story. And this is not entirely because of SZA's fault. Actually, I believe that her as a vocalist, she really does know how to communicate feelings and how to, send a message. But the way that the album is produced, sinking her voice into this crazy amount of autotune when she doesn't need it. I mean, I'm pretty cool with autotune. I don't have a problem when used properly. But I don't think SZA needs this amount of autotune. I think that if anything, it only makes her voice sound less human. And when you're talking about heartbreak, love, and you entering a glow-up era, you do need to show humanity for the message to be clear and for the message to be communicated in other forms, not only in the lyrics. In this album, I feel like the beats are way more boring. And Control, you could feel this chemistry between SZA and the instrumentation, which only elevated her performance even more. It was hypnotizing, trippy, sexy. In here, the instrumentals only feel like a blank paper where she's writing her stories about heartbreak and love and self-care. I'm not complaining. Like, you definitely could have a moment in the record where the main attraction is you and the story that you're telling. But that does not mean that the instrumental has to be so bland and boring and just forgettable. But even when you get down to the lyrics, there's a lot of issues there as well. I feel like these narratives of love, heartbreak, and glowing up are all over the place in this album, where in one track she's in love, in the next track she's glowed up, in the next track she's heartbroken, and then in the next one she's in love again. And given the fact that the lyrics in this album look so personal, or at least feel like it, I think she could have done a way better job organizing this track for it to look more like a story and not like a collection of stories. I know I haven't said many positive things about this record, but the fact is that this just was an incredibly underwhelming album, because Control is a record that I feel like it has no filler. Like, every single track is at the very least decent. Instead, here, I feel like there are a lot of tracks that are not bad necessarily because they're well crafted, they're kind of nice tunes, but they're just so forgettable and unnecessary. And if there's something worse than being a bad track, it's being a track that it doesn't fucking matter. You do have some good tracks here. I do think that the track's News finds SZA being sexier than ever. I really love the way that she sounds on that record. I also like the track Conceited. I think it's really playful and fun, as well as the track Kill Bill. I like the lyrical concept, how she changed it up a little bit in that track by talking about how she wants to kill not only her ex, but also her ex's girlfriend. But these highlights, in the album are so far off between bad or just straight up forgettable tracks that you cannot really excuse the album or give the album a pass based on these highlights. A weird thing about this album is that at a certain point, for some reason, SZA decided to look at Taylor Swift's debut and craft a song based on that. The track F2F, I don't know where that idea came from, but it definitely just kills the whole mood of the album. It's a totally different track, and not different in a good way, not like spicing things up, as I said in the beginning of the video. It's more like shooting yourself in the foot to get people's attention. That track, even though I can agree that it may be, it has a nice melody, the instrumentation doesn't seem to be that bad. It's so weird listening to that track inside this album, and it's halfway through. It's not towards the end, it's not in the beginning of the album. It's halfway through the record, in between all of this soul and R&B tracks, and then in the following tracks, Nobody Gets Me. It seems like a track, again, from a Taylor Swift album, but from Speak Now or Red instead of her debut. Weird ass moment in the album, and I like it. Nobody Gets Me is a good track. I really do like the track, but inside the record, man, it sounds weird. It sounds so disconnected from the rest of the album. Overall, man, I don't understand what she was trying to do with this record. I don't understand how she would sit down, listen to the album and say, yes, this is better than my debut. This is better than what I started with. Especially because it's not that much of a different album. It's basically the same formula that Control. It's the same type of performance, same type of, lyrical concept. It's basically the Control's sister. But it feels so much more forgettable and boring. You have no one-liners, you have no personality in the performance, you have no trippiness and hypnotizing beats as in Control. You have no interesting lyrical concepts apart from a few tracks, because yes, Control is again an album that shares the lyrical concept that this album has as well, but from a funnier and just catchier perspective that kept you hooked during the whole listen. Production in here was also disappointing. SZA's performance was disappointing as well. I think that her voice was way too synced into this auto-tuned mess that I didn't enjoy at all. And even though I'm willing to admit that I kind of enjoy the whole mood of the album, and I have like 10 or 12 tracks that I think have a nice melody and are fun and are playful, the vast majority of the record is forgettable. I've heard the album 4 times already. That's the reason why you're seeing this video on Monday probably. And I just cannot remember that many songs from it either. It's not an album that sticks with you as Control did. So that's pretty much the reason why I think that this album was just a letdown. So yeah, in terms of rating, I'm feeling a 4 with this one. That'll be it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos that I upload. I don't understand the amount of praise that this album is getting on the internet. I've seen a few reviews, and Jesus Christ, everyone seems to be loving this album. I feel alienated. Like the same thing happened to me with Taylor Swift when she released Midnights. But listen, if you like the album, if you disagree with me, go ahead and leave it down below in the comments. Maybe you'll tell me the reason why this album is good, and we can have a little chat in the comments. With that being said, guys, once again, I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that I can see you soon with a new video. But until then, bye.